if say that first day it didn't go so well, or maybe the second day it didn't go so well? What do you think that would have changed things, or do you think you would have kept going and figured it out?
I think that's a really interesting question, because I hadn't had enough of the experience of the payoff of perseverance at that point.
Right.
So there's every possibility I might have just quit and said this is not the right thing to do. I think that I got to a point in the number of times that I basically had something that failed, and then I saw the result in a positive way after that, that today I would keep on persevering no matter what. Right. Having said that, I think that there were certain things I was doing at the time which may actually have made me also continue. So for example, rowing is a really good example. Like, that's what I was doing. And rowing is a crazy sport because you're looking backwards the whole time. You can't actually make it work unless you're with a team. Right. Most of the time it's not working. And you have to persevere, right? So I was actually experiencing in other parts of my life where I was putting myself on the line with others, the power of continuing even when things aren't working.
Right.
I think many people don't have that experience. And so because they haven't had it, it's really, really easy to just give up on things without realizing that success is always just that next step after you're actually willing to sacrifice it all. And I think that's the big test most people don't go with.
Did you finish school? I mean, did you get your degree in architecture, or what happened?
I got my first degree, which was which was after 3 years, and then the RIBA, which is the qualification to be a practiced architect, is a 7-year course. I took a year out, and I realized in that year out, the actual decision making on design wasn't the architects; it was actually the developers, right? And they'd pay the architects to do but they could always veto the architect. So I remember saying to my dad, "Hey, Dad, I really want to be a developer, right?" And he goes, "We ain't got the money to be a developer. Be an architect first." And it was actually in my 5th year, I actually had the courage to say, you know what, I'm better off moving my thinking, especially with what I said earlier around Buckminster Fuller, and this idea that like time was so short that it really was time to shift from the idea of building buildings. Luckily today, I actually called my dad and I said at the time, "Hey Dad, I'm going to quit architecture. The reason is because I really believe I could be a developer. I could be out there, with properties that I could then hire architects to do." He says, "Well, good luck with that." And today, that's what we're doing with our resorts around the world. And so I'm now designing more than ever, but I'm doing it with architects that are now working for me.
So let's talk about your business activities. So there's myriad business activities for you. You just described one of them, which is you have resorts around the world. And I might say, I was looking at pictures of them earlier, beautiful resorts around the world, and the kinds of places, I guess you build the kind of places or buy the kind of places you'd like to stay at, or what's the theme in your resorts?
They're all entrepreneur resorts, actually. So they're actually designed for entrepreneurs to be able to come on accelerator programs, to be able to come and take that time out. And I'm a great believer in the power of environment. So we have resorts in Bali, in South Africa on a safari, in Thailand. These are resorts that are giving you the opportunity to get out of the city environment and actually be able to get a clear head to be thinking about your future and where you want to go. And there's almost like a spiritual experience when you're there. You really get this sense that there's something bigger out there for you to actually step into. So the resorts are one of the businesses, and Entrepreneur Resorts is a public listed company, which is growing at the moment with teams in different countries. Then we have a second company, which is called Genius U, which is a technology platform, which provides mentoring for any entrepreneur around the world that wants to get connected with other entrepreneurs out there too. And then we have a third company, which is Entrepreneurs Institute, which is where I do a lot of my training, mentoring. We have events like the Global Entrepreneur Summit that we run in different parts of the world. And what's really incredible is that we have a front row seat of the entire entrepreneur movement. This is something that was predicted some time back by the likes of like Charles Handy with the empty raincoat, where he said we're all going to be portfolio workers in the future. And what interesting thing is the Global Entrepreneur Monitor, which is like a group around the world that measures how many entrepreneurs they are. They predict there's going to be 1 billion entrepreneurs by the year 2020, which is phenomenal because there was only about 100 million in the year 2000, and like 1 billion people, that's less than the number of people that were on the planet, a century and a half ago.
Right.
So this is like the biggest vocational shift in the history of mankind that we're actually living through. And we're getting to see that in all these different countries in Asia, in Africa, where we have all these people who are deciding to be entrepreneurs instead of employees as they're, even at teenage age.
Is there like a spirit being unleashed, you think, in the world that's causing this big influx of entrepreneurs to enter the marketplace?
Yeah, there's a word for it, which is entrepreneur spirit, right? It's like there isn't a single entrepreneur that doesn't get there through entrepreneur spirit.
Right.
What I think is interesting is I think there was a time when the idea of being an entrepreneur was was like an opportunity. It was kind of like well, maybe I could do it. But the challenge with that is, when you go through school is either training you to be in a job or it's training you to go to university, right? It's not training you to be an entrepreneur. We're actually getting to a time where being an entrepreneur is no longer a maybe, it's actually a must. It's better job security to be an entrepreneur, which is someone who knows how to create a job, than to be an employee, which is someone who has to wait and get a job, because there's so much risk in terms of whether jobs will even exist in the future in the way that they are today.
So, and that's, I think, I just want to pause, because you're saying so many things and stringing them together that I think are profound. So, in part, your definition of an entrepreneur is someone who says, I'm going to create a job, as compared to a non-entrepreneur would say, I need to go get a job.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, like if I have an employee mindset, I say I can't actually make money unless I can go to the job ads or I can go to the job boards and I can find someone who's asking for a job, and then I have to compete with hundreds, if not thousands, of other people for that same job. Right. So that's what someone who's got an employee mindset will do, and that's why there's such fear. Because if someone doesn't give me that job, I'm not going to have money, right? Whereas someone who is an entrepreneur is someone who doesn't start from there. They don't even look at the job board. They start by saying, okay, what's the person I'd really want to work with, right? Who would be my customer who's the person who's going to give me money? And how can I make sure I can do something of real value to solve their problem? Which means going to whoever it is you want to work with and finding out what the biggest problem is, and then helping them to solve that. And even being willing to say, look, I'll give you some of my time for free to show you that I can be trusted to help you solve your problem. You help someone solve a problem that puts money in their pocket, they're always going to be paying you for it.
Yes.